Hello, everyone. You're welcome to On Mission with Jesus. Today, I decided to go live on YouTube without using a streaming service. I have never done that before, so I am testing it to see how that will look like. So, I'm going live today not with a wonderfully prepared, packaged sermon. In fact, I decided to do this by doing some kind of spontaneous sermon. Okay, so in the wake of the Ulvade school killing, there's been a lot of sorrow in the minds of many people. And we also heard about one spouse who had a heart attack and died. I've been to the hospital and I have seen people come to the hospital and they are unable to compare. No matter what you do, they are unable to be comforted because of a disaster that struck, maybe an accident, maybe a gun battle, maybe their child that committed suicide or their spouse. And you begin to wonder, how can you help people to prepare to face disaster? How can you help people to prepare to face evil days? So I have thought about this a whole lot. I have a lot of passages of scriptures to deal with that. And I also have a series on my channel that you can check that out from the book of Hebrews, where I decided that I'm going to be working on passages of scriptures that deal directly with problems. And for those, I've actually taken time to construct a sermon and to do a detailed study. But in the wake of this horrible incident and with the sorrow that many people are expressing, the heartbreaking nature of it, and my experience, like I said, in the hospital, I thought, okay, these many passages that I have, from time to time, what I will just do is just bring them spontaneously and maybe just go live and save it there for somebody. Because these are thoughts I think to myself and it helps me prepare me too for those evil days. So it's like, how can I share with somebody too to be prepared? And the passage I want to share with us today is from John chapter 11. John chapter 11, and I'm going to be reading from verse 17 to 26. So let me read that passage for us. Here it says, "Now when Jesus came, he found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Bethany was near Jerusalem, about 2 miles off, and many of the Jews had come to Martha and Mary to console them concerning their brother. So when Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went and met him, but Mary remained seated in the house. Martha said to Jesus, 'Lord, if you had been here, my brother will not have died. But even now, I know that whatever you ask from God, God will give you.' Jesus said to her, 'Your brother will rise again.' Martha said to him, 'I know that he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day.' Jesus said to her, 'I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, though he die, yet he will live. And everyone who lives and believes in me shall never die. Do you believe this?' She said to him, 'Yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, who is coming into the world.'" Great story here. So here's the better plan. God has a better plan for us. And if you know that better plan and you understand that better plan and you let that better plan dwell in your heart, you walk every day of your life knowing God has a better plan for you, that is going to help you. So there are three things I want you to see from this passage to help prepare you. Number one, understand what this better plan is better than. God has a better plan for you. Better than what? God's better plan for you is better than the things that thieves will take away. It's better than what sickness will take away. It's better than what enemies will take away. It's better than what friends will take or friends will take away from you. It is better than what family will take away from you. It is better than anything you can imagine or think of in the world. I'm naming these things because those are the things that sometimes when disaster hits, they take them away. Imagine a tornado or a serious wind or some kind of a flood that just comes automatically and sweeps your house. Imagine you're in a situation where there's no insurance to even take care of these things. You are broken. You see, so imagine a situation where thieves attack you and take away your money. Imagine you run into an accident and you come back crippled. Your teeth is out. A disease comes or suddenly attacks you, your spouse. You become suddenly cancerous and you have just a few months to live. or you are dealing with someone who is like that. You have not had children for all your life, and the time you have your one little child, it doesn't take long before that child is diagnosed of cancer and has to die. These are big problems. But I am here to tell you that God has a better plan than these things. How do I know from this passage? I know that from this passage because here is Jesus. He has a very, very good friend. His good friend is called Lazarus. And that entire family are very, very close to Jesus. So Jesus received the message from his beloved friend's family that the friend is seriously sick. Jesus decides to wait for 2 days. Very intentional. You can find that in earlier verses of John chapter 11. He intentionally decided to wait for 2 days. What? And by waiting, that friend dies. Oh, that friend loses his life. Man, how could that be? Then the family is struck. Their beloved brother, their beloved son, their beloved neighbor, their beloved guy in the community has suddenly died. And these are friends of the man who opens the eyes of people, heals all kinds of diseases. How could they be friends of Jesus? And Jesus, who heals people, will hear that Lazarus is sick and Jesus will delay. Was Jesus a good friend? Was Jesus a good friend? How could it be? In fact, what I'm asking, when you read that passage, you see that other people ask that question. If he was the one who opened people's eyes and healed, how could he not do so for his friend? Jesus is suspected as not caring for his friend. But the reason is because Jesus had a better plan. Jesus is on earth for God's mission. He's revealing that God has a better plan. And because of the better plan, he waited to reveal the better plan. So that takes us to our point number 2. So again, no, God has a better plan. No matter the disaster, no matter what goes away, it's taken away. He has a better plan than that thing. Okay? So point number 2. Point number 2 here, God is determined to give you his better plan. He is so determined. He is perfectly determined. You see, Jesus was so determined. It is difficult. When your friend is in trouble, the pressure on you is massive. It's massive. This is Jesus' dear friend. Okay, Jesus is also conscious of what the community and friends and family will be thinking. This is Jesus who can tell from a distance that, go, the person will be well. He doesn't do that to heal his friend. You think Jesus is being callous and heartless? No. He is determined to give a better plan. So here is this family, they don't know that. They are in sorrow. They cannot understand. But what I'm telling you today is that today, if you hear this message, now you understand. You're in a better place than the family of Lazarus. Because when disaster will hit you, you will understand that God has a better plan. Number 1, God is determined to give you a better plan. That is why you pray sometimes and pray and pray and pray and disaster still hits, right? You pray and trust the Lord. You go about happily and disaster still hits. When we think about that Uvalde school in Texas and the shooting of those children were not children of pagans. Some were believers, some were children of non-believers. Probably some were children of devout believers. Disaster knows no boundary. It doesn't come to unbelievers and then spare the believers who trust in the Lord. No, it comes to all mankind. We are all exposed to it, just like the rain that falls. That's how the crises in life are. Okay? So, but think about believers. What happens? They always pray. They wake up in the morning, they pray. They sleep at night, they pray. As they are going around, they remember the Lord. They are trying to serve the Lord. Their whole life is a life of prayer, trusting God to take care of their lives every day. And then trusting God like that, then disaster still hits. Man, how can it be? Especially if you woke up and you prayed for protection for you and your children. And then your children go and they are shot in school and they die. Or you prayed for protection for you and your family. And then they took a car and they had an accident and almost everybody died. Or you prayed for protection for your home and then there was a fire disaster. You prayed for protection for your life and you were shot and you lost your life, or you lost your, not you lost your life since you may be alive. You lost your legs, you lost your hands. You maybe lost some parts of your body or thieves attacked you. Didn't you pray for these things? How could you pray for these things and pray intentionally, specifically, and it still happened to you? So it's the same kind of thing with this family. They asked Jesus. Jesus did not respond. Jesus is under pressure, but he is determined, no matter the pressure of his love for that family, no matter the pressure of his compassion for that family, no matter the pressure of his mercy for that family, he will not give them an inferior gift. He wants to give them the better gift, right? No matter the pressure of what how people will slander him, the entire community will slander him, he will not hurry to say, okay, because I don't want that shame. The shame is too much. Let me go and take care of that. You see, that's the way God works in this world. There are many people who look around and say, oh, if God was loving, there would be no crisis. If God was caring, there would be no crisis. Have you seen God move by the fact that people want to put shame on him and slander him and disgrace him and label him as bad? So he will not allow that shame on his name and his glory. So he will run and come and stop every disaster and heal everybody and take care of everybody. No, because God is perfectly determined. No matter what you say, no matter what you do, God is determined. Not determined as a selfish, self-centered, egoistic person. He is determined to give nothing but the better plan. And so Jesus stayed. Lazarus died. And it was 4 days after Lazarus was buried. So 6 days in total. 4 days after Lazarus was buried that Jesus comes. Jesus comes, and what does he do? He raises Lazarus from the dead. Imagine that. If the experience of having stayed in a tomb and everybody said you were dead and then you are raised from the dead, who has gone to the dead and come back? People have been sick and have been healed. People have lost money and gotten money. People have lost children and had children. Okay, but how many have had that experience of having died, been buried for days and came back? Oh, the most popular and famous guy in town was Lazarus. The most respected person was Lazarus, because Jesus waited to give him the better plan. Even that family, the most respected, the most spoken of, oh, with head high, Jesus waited to give them the better plan. While everybody has slandered them, slandered him, put his name down, he was determined to do nothing but to give a better plan. So listen, God is determined to give you a better plan. When you pray, it doesn't mean he has not heard your prayer. He is determined to give you a better plan. And in his timing, he will give you that better plan. Okay? It doesn't matter how deep the sorrow. He knows it. He knows your sorrow. He knows your concern. Even before it hits you, he knows. He knows exactly when it hits you. He knows how you feel. He knows what people are saying. But he is determined to give you the better plan. And that's why he is waiting. That's why it is taking time. Now, the third thing now reveals that plan. I don't want you to be thinking about God's planning with a lot of vagueness, because many people say, I know God has a better plan for me. I know God has a better plan for me, and they end there. Jesus wants you to know the specific plan, which is the better plan of God. And he reveals it to that family. In our passage that we read how he tells Mary and Martha that he is the resurrection and the life. He says it with such emphasis that at the end he asks them, do you believe this? There is such emphasis in that, okay? Now, why is he emphasizing that? Because he wants to show that family, he wants to communicate with everybody that God has a better plan, and the plan is specific and it is clear. It is the plan of resurrection. It is the plan of resurrection. So we know that's the plan number one, I've said, because that is what he emphasizes. Yes, he raises Lazarus, but he does not emphasize the raising of Lazarus from the dead, because that's some kind of resuscitation. Lazarus is going to die. That was there just as a sign to show that he will actually raise people on the last day. It is him who is the resurrection and the life. So he can tell the dead to rise up and live forever. Okay, so that was a sign. The message he emphasizes over and over is that he is the resurrection. He shall raise the dead. So he waited for all this while in order to reveal that there is a better plan that God has for us. Okay, another reason we know that is the plan is because in the life of Jesus here on earth, he healed many people, he solved many problems, but not many dead. He didn't raise many dead people. He raised few. He could go around raising the dead, but he did not. He raised a few, and Lazarus was one of the few. that Jesus raised from the dead. Why did he not go about raising the dead when somebody dies? That's the most catastrophic. Why did Jesus not go around raising the dead in every compound and every family? No, because there is a better plan. The better plan of God is the resurrection. That is the better plan of God. He is holding it so that when he now communicates it, whoever is confronted by death in thoughts, in expectation, or it has happened, should know God has a better plan. Very, very necessary. So we have all these three things. To know that God has a better plan than everything in the world that you may lose. To know that God is determined to give you nothing but his better plan. And number three, specifically, the better plan is the resurrection. Is the resurrection. Now, he turns and asks his friends, do you believe this? They knew it as a principle. On the last day we shall resurrect. No, it's not a principle of life. It's not like the law of gravity. That's why Jesus tells them, I am the resurrection and the life. You believe in me, you will rise from the dead. So I am, he is. And it is believing in him. So it's a plan of God for all mankind. But anyone in this world who will receive that better plan has to believe in Jesus. Do you believe? 2, do you believe in the resurrection if you are already a Christian? If you do, Jesus wants that when you believe that, that should govern and control your mind and your heart. That you have Jesus, you have the resurrection. You are prepared for the worst of days. When things are taken away from you, you know God has a better plan. You shall resurrect from the dead. You shall resurrect unto a perfect life where that pain shall never be anymore. Okay, so how can you prepare? Apart from just understanding this, I want you to actually let this be your shock absorber. You know, that family had a shock, and now Jesus is coming to tell them what he's telling them. The next time when they have a shock, they should remember, we have Jesus, he is our resurrection. We have Jesus, he is our resurrection. Jesus wants you to know that. Prepare your heart for the worst of shock. And remember, the better plan of God is the resurrection. If you want to sink in shock because you have lost a loved one, because you have lost a house, you can weep for these things, you can sorrow about them, but to sink in them and be helpless, that's what I'm trying to make you never to get into that kind of situation. Because it is not the end of life. It is not the end of life. God has a better plan for you. The second thing I want you to do is to create a community of peace. That no matter the storm, there will be peace. And that community begins with your family. Your family. Those children went there and died. Were those children prepared for that? We grow our children and we prepare them to grow and be directors, doctors, business people, carpenters, ministers, if you want them to be that. We prepare them for other things. We show them other things, that it is good to have this, it is good to have this, it is good to have this. Do we tell our children it is more wonderful to have the resurrection life? Do we let our spouses know it is more wonderful to have the resurrection life? Do we share with our family the beauty of the resurrection life? Because besides a major disaster, we have little problems in life, right? We are threatened every now and then with little things that go on. We hear of this news, we hear of that news. Those things should help us prepare our family, prepare our people, so that our children can bear it when we, their parents, will die. If we die suddenly, I've been in a situation where children have come and their parent died suddenly and they don't even know how to handle it at all. Absolutely not. And I feel for them. I don't know what will happen to their mind. I don't know what will happen to the rest of their lives because of the impact of that loss. You want to spare your children from that. Because you see, there's nothing that you can guarantee that that kind of trouble will never meet you. If you live all your life and you are never taken by catastrophe and disaster, thanks be to God. But how do you know? You may be in an accident and that will be it. You may be in a gunshot and that will be it. It may be your child, it may be your spouse. Why not prepare your whole family so that as your children go about, they know God has a better plan. When these things happen and they're shedding tears, they know God has a better plan. They know God is determined to give the better plan. That's why he isn't giving the inferior plan all the times that we want it. They know he has a better plan, and that whatever they have lost, if they have lost their dad, they have lost their mom, they have lost their friend, they have lost their child, what they have lost, it cannot be compared to the better plan of God. And so if they even lose their life, they gain resurrection. And you, a family member who loses your life, you gain resurrection. And so if we have these shock absorbers in place, we will shed a tear, but we'll shed it and also turn around and thank God that there is hope, a bigger and better hope. We'll turn around and thank God. We'll not say, oh, where was God? We'll say, no, he has a better plan. He heard our prayer. He knows our concern. He knows our tears, but he is determined to give us the better plan. And then we'll prepare our heart. God, I want that better plan. I'm going to hang on for that better plan. I love that better plan. Prepare me for that better plan. May the Lord bless you and prepare you for things like this. Okay? So again, if you love what you love, please hit the like button, share for others to be blessed, and let's continue to make others hear this and be comforted and consoled and prepared for better days ahead. Thank you.